Hi guys, my name is Talia. I usually make nursing content, but here I am today to talk a little bit about my finances and a little bit about what I've been doing to invest. You know, as I get older in age here. So I was previously living in Florida, and then the last video I made was in Arizona, and I'm now living in California. So making my way across the United States, I finally landed a job here. And so I had my first official day the other day, probably like a week ago, maybe less. But really what I wanted to talk about is my transition from Florida to here, because I really want to talk about renting and the investment that I made a couple of years ago that's hopefully setting me up for financial success in the future. So back in 2020, I had purchased a house. I had purchased it at 3.125% interest, which, as you know, it's almost 50% less interest rate than what is currently the market right now. So right now we're seeing a 6 to 7% interest rate, where I bought my house at 3%, and some people I've seen even lower, like 2.8 and percentages like that. Nonetheless, I decided, because it was at such a low interest rate and such at a pretty good price where I could afford to do that and also live in California in my house comfortably for the moment, I decided to rent out my house. So beginning in August of this year, I rented out my house. So my mortgage, we'll start off with my mortgage. My mortgage is $1,064 with a $300 quarterly HOA. So $100 a month per month, every month. So annually it's $1,200 that we have to pay off, but I pay it quarterly. So with that being said, total expense of $1,164 total for mortgage, for both mortgage and HOA. So the total house cost $1,164. I ended up renting the house out for $1,750, which is pretty nice. Gives us some wiggle room there and allows us to have some money that we're actually making back out on the house. But as you guys know, or you may seen in the market, it's pretty hard to rent out a house these days just because there are so many options available and people are not really wanting to move from the place that they were already living. So it did take us some time to get somebody. Usually it takes, at least my property manager told me, that it takes 7 to 14 days to rent out your property. It took us more than 30 days to get ours rented out. So that's a little bit atypical, but with the market right now, it's pretty normal because you need competitive pricing in order to get your house rented out. But a few of the things that we took, or a few of the things we did before we rented out our place. So first, we got a property manager. I went through a couple of places, went around town looking for a good, reputable property manager, somebody that would take care of our place, make sure that at least annually that they took a look inside the place to make sure it's good, which is something that our property manager does. Twice a year, they'll go in, do an inspection of the house and ensure that everything is intact, nothing's broken, and then as well as they send a handyman over who kind of like takes a peek and makes sure everything's good whenever they do go and do quick fix in the house or something needs to be repaired, which is amazing. They take care of all of that. All they do is let us know when they're going to be going in the house or when they need to do something, or if they're able to, because we're ultimately the people that have to pay for it. So they let us know that, and then they go in and fix the issue for whatever it is. But I will say that renting out is not as easy as it seems or as easy as it looks, because obviously when you're living in the house, you're okay with a few things that maybe might not work perfectly or not are 100%. But when somebody else moves in the house, they want it to be picture perfect. They want everything to be good to go. And so the last few months, I mean, I wouldn't say they were rocky, but there have been some expenses that we've had to lay out. So for example, the fridge, I didn't really, and I wasn't really aware of this, but when you do have a fridge, it is expensive to replace the shelving inside of a fridge. So it made more sense for us to just replace the fridge, which was a really big expense for us coming into renting. And so you always want to make sure that when you do rent, you do have some money set aside, because there are going to be things that you need to replace and fix. Another thing that I didn't know going into renting a property is that you're definitely going to be needing landlord's insurance. And then what's something else I'm looking into right now is umbrella insurance, which will take over if something happened to the property, or the umbrella insurance would take over what the property insurance cannot. But yes, there is a secondary insurance, which is landlord insurance. Regular property insurance covers your primary residence. Landlord insurance covers a secondary residence that you're renting out. And umbrella insurance is something to cover ultimately anything that surpasses that. I would say as a first-time renter, there are a lot of questions that you're probably going to be asking. I'm also asking myself too, but I think that's why it's important that people make these kind of videos, because I think everybody can kind of go through it together and experience it together and ask each other questions, especially if you are like a first generation person that's beginning to invest in these sort of things. I am one of those people that's first generation, kind of just trying to figure these things out on my own and ask questions as needed. A great thing that, or a great resource that you can use is Facebook, because there are many people on there that are also trying to do the same thing, and it kind of groups everybody together and allows people to kind of ask these kind of questions, get these questions answered. I know I've seen a lot of opinions here or there, but I think answers and opinions on Facebook can sway your decision. Ultimately, it should be you kind of making the pros and cons list to determine what's best for you in your situation, because what's best for somebody else is not always best for you. But that's kind of what I wanted to come on here and share. I am thinking about buying a second property in California, and hopefully I'll be able to do that. But I'll keep you guys updated on what goes on and what happens going forward. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am going to make another video soon about exactly what's going on with me, a 27-year-old just trying to make her way throughout the world. Let me know if you guys want to see that. Thanks for watching. Bye.